have a very simple answer based on my own experience. I honestly had very little interest in Japan.
Name.
I'm Daniel.
Please introduce your background.
Sure. Born in the United States. I first moved to Japan in 2009. And then I lived in Tokyo for about 5 years. And then I went back to the US to start graduate school. And then I came back to Japan in 2019. I was in Tokyo for 2 years, and now I've lived in Kyoto for 5 years.
What do you do? Your job?
I work as a professor, so I teach English and to Japanese students like you, and you are my student. I also teach art history to American college students that are in Japan, so that's teaching in English.
Is it your fun to work as a professor?
Oh, yeah. That's why I wanted to go to graduate school. I really wanted to be a professor. I love teaching.
What is your passion to teach other people?
That's a good question. I guess I feel like when I was a student, I had teachers that really changed the way that I saw the world. Someday I would be in the classroom and then walk outside. Feel like, oh, it's like a different world, basically. So I guess I had an experience of feeling how much of an impact school can have on somebody. So I don't want to say that every student that I teach, I will have that kind of incredible impact, but I felt like working as a teacher would be something very important and very meaningful. So that's, I think, the really deeper reason for why I wanted to be a teacher.
I want to be like native English speaker. So what is the best way to improve my English or other people?
When people ask me this question about learning languages, I have a very simple answer based on my own experience, which is go to the country where people speak that language. You know, when I was in college, I studied Spanish. Yeah, I didn't study Japanese, I studied Spanish.
Oh, you can speak?
Yeah. And I did study abroad. I went to Argentina. I lived in Buenos Aires for 5 or 6 months. I had studied Spanish before, and then going to Argentina, when I went to Argentina, it was like things went up so quickly. And the same thing for learning Japanese as well. So when people ask me, oh, how can I learn a language? If you can, the best way is to go to the place where every single day you have to speak. Because the best experience actually, I think, is if you have some day where you wake up and you think, oh, I don't want to speak this language. I want to speak my own language. You know, for you, like, oh, I just want to speak Japanese. I had days like this in Japan where I was like, I just want to speak English. But then because you're living in that place, you go out, and even when you don't want to, you have to speak English, and then you're forced to like break down your own barriers or walls that you have inside of yourself. I mean, and also it's important. I mean, I think if you go abroad, of course, not just you, but me too. You know, you will find people who speak your native language too. In other words, when I was in Argentina, I was with other people from the United States. So I spoke some English, of course. But it's really important to also do as many things as you can in the language you want to learn. And really to start making friends with people who are in that place. Because then you will be part of the kind of culture, and the language will become more part of your daily life. So don't just go abroad and then just hang out with Japanese people.
In Japan, most of people don't have a lot of time, a lot of money to go abroad. There are other ways to improve English.
The important thing is to like immerse yourself as much as possible into the language, as much input as possible. So actually one thing that I did while I was back in the US, I changed the language of my phone to Japanese because I wanted to continue practicing kanji. Every day, you look at your phone every day. So, and there are times when your phone gives you some message, and it's like, oh no, like sometimes you actually get it causes a little bit of trouble. What does it say? check. So I think actually, yeah, putting your phone into English is probably a good way to do it. You can listen to music, listen to podcasts, listening, viewing, be in that language. Like find a TV show that you like and just watch like episode after episode. I think that's actually another good way. But then you have to think of what TV show you'll choose, because that language will kind of form. So make sure it's something that kind of fits with your personality.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're studying Japanese now?
Not really, no.
Okay.
No.
Already finished?
Yeah, I think so. But I still learn and more expressions, but I don't intentionally open up a textbook and study. I did a lot of my research in Japanese, so I was reading a lot of articles and books in Japanese, but I'm still learning, but in a very natural or organic way. So I'll have a conversation and somebody will say something and I'll look it up on my phone. Oh, okay, that one. And then maybe 2 weeks later, oh yeah, I'll use that word again. I live in Japan, so every day is like keeping my level and like slowly, very naturally increasing. Like now, my phone is in English.
Oh.
I don't need it to be in Japanese. I have enough Japanese everywhere else.
Yeah.
So my phone, I can just keep in English. That's okay. Yeah.
You can read Kanji.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to learn Kanji?
No, Kanji is, not difficult in a mental sense, because Kanji is just memorizing. I was living in Tokyo, as I said. Every day when I rode the train to my job, I would just do my flashcards, just study vocabulary. So I feel that Kanji, it's complicated and it's, of course, difficult, but eventually, for me, it was just a kind of just putting in a lot of time. It took me 1 year, not to finish with everything, but I tried really hard for 1 year and then made a really big jump. Almost every day, I would spend at least 15 or 20 minutes.
Why do you so strictly study Japanese?
Part of it is just my personality.
Personality?
I'm very strict with myself. But also the real reason is that, when I was in college, I studied literature and I really like reading, not just literature, but it was like, imagine that you're living in a place where you can't read stuff that's written in your daily life. That was very frustrating. I've spent 3 years in Tokyo and I'm going to live here a little bit longer. I could speak okay at that time to learn how to read. And also because I was doing things with art and photography, and I wanted to read things that people were writing about art and photography. I wanted to participate in that culture, and I couldn't do that without reading. So it's such a basic skill, that I didn't have. So I had a lot of motivation to read things in Japanese, and I'm very strict on myself. So those two things combined meant that, yes, for a year I could be very diligent about studying.
You're strict person.
Yeah, with myself. I've tried to relax more.
You're living in Japan for a long time.
Yeah.
So as a foreigners in living in Japan, what is attractive?
Oh, good question. Quite a lot. Like food is coming to mind very easily. Like food here is really good, and I have so many good friends here. And it's a very interesting place for me in terms of thinking about art and lots of nature.
Which do you like? United States or America?
I can't answer to say, I like one. They each have their aspects that I like. So in the U.S., people are more relaxed, actually, a bit more free. But I said I was very strict on myself. So this is maybe one reason that I was very fit in Japan. In the U.S., people are not so strict,
Because you are being strict, so you choose Japan.
No, I didn't think like that so directly. I was very interested to learn about photography in Japan. And then when I moved here, I quit my job and just moved. I didn't have a plan, basically. Moved to Tokyo with more or less no plan. Then I realized after living in Tokyo for maybe 1 or 2 years that actually my personality was very matched to Japan. If, in a group in Japan, if people are talking, then you sit and you listen very, very silently and carefully. But some American people are more like loud, and that was never my personality. In America, but until in my teens and 20s, I honestly had very little interest in Japan. I never watched anime, I never read manga. It wasn't that I was dreaming of coming to Japan for a long time. I was kind of following my intuition, basically.
What is your most favorite food in Japan? By Japan.
まあ、そう聞かれると、いつも定食。ちょっと、なんていうか、なんかあざとい答えなんですけど、要するに定食だといろんなものが入れるでしょ。すごい定番に答えると、なんか、焼きサバ定食とか。
焼きサバ、fish.
Yeah, I think 定食 really great. 焼きサバ is super great,
Yeah. I like it too.
I'm glad to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Yeah. どうだった?
Yeah.
Nice? Yeah, it was fun.